I just want to thank everybody for raising their hand and participating in Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Online right now for anybody who is new to the concept of the Global Entrepreneurship Network. Let me just talk about what that is. The Global Entrepreneurship Network is this international organization that we get to be a part of, where entrepreneurs are connecting with each other throughout the year. And we here at Nevada Partners, a lot of the entrepreneurs that I think you and I both have in mutual common, Shaun, have been a part of the Global Entrepreneurship Network. It's a platform where entrepreneurs here in Nevada can connect with each other, but it's also a platform for us to showcase entrepreneurs to the rest of the world. And so what we've been doing here is this Global Entrepreneurship Network series, where we're recapping the 2025 wins and lessons, think about the 2026, what's to be excited about, and put it in spotlighting the entrepreneurs who make that all possible. And so today we're joined by Shaun Plummer. Shaun, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Hey, I can't complain. Grateful, I'm alive, and we got all this amazing progress.
Alive is good.
That we get to build on. So I was looking at your social media, and you're a men's mindset coach.
Yeah.
I saw you also serve bartenders or folks in the hospitality space. But why don't you take us from the top and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Shaun, and I'm a men's mindset coach, and I do serve bartenders because I was a bartender for 15 years. I pretty much, that's what I did here in Vegas. I dropped out of college when I was 19 because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I just followed all my friends that were around me, and everybody became bartenders and servers. And I just did that. And it was cool. I had a good living, I thought. And then I get to a point to where I was like, is this really my life? Is this it? This is what I do for the world? And it's kind of a long story. Make it a little short because it gets long. But yeah, I was like, I don't think this is what I want to leave to the world.
Yeah.
And so I found that it was tough. I felt a lot of fear, and I didn't even think of it as fear. My brain was just like, yeah, you can't do that. That's not possible. No way. You're going to lose all your money. There's no way you can do that. What do you know about it?
Yeah.
And so that was like a few-year struggle, and my brain still talks to me all the time in that way, and I have to work with it. But I was like, I need to figure out how to do this because you're trying to stop me from moving in this direction that I want to move in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be here anymore. So that kind of was what I wanted to help other people do. I was like going to all my friends. I was like, dude, you don't have to listen to your brain. Your brain is fooling you. It just wants to keep you safe,
Right.
And so then that started this whole journey. Went back to school, got my degree in psychology. Did my coaching certification from a couple different places just to get different perspectives on stuff. And I was like, okay, how do I convey this message? Because you can't just yell at people. Yeah. That's what I was trying before. It didn't work. You need to do this. You need to do that. Everybody's like, thanks, buddy.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
One of the things I talked to, so college, was that here in Vegas?
Yeah,
GEWNV?
Yeah.
Nice, awesome. Well, thank GEWNV for all the support and all that good stuff. Where'd you get your psychology degree from?
GEWNV here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, very amazing. All right, well, that's awesome. So one of the things I talk to young folks all the time, Shaun, you might resonate with this too, and that is Vegas is a trap. Vegas can be a trap. It's a 24/7 city. You're not that far from any kind of gambling device or alcohol or anything like that. Right. And so, not that bartending is a trap, but bartending in Vegas while young can open itself up to some interesting situations where if you don't have full discipline over your mind, body, soul, it might take you to places. So does that resonate with you to open something up for you to speak on?
I feel like you just read my soul, Elias. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel and how I felt. I didn't recognize it at the time. I just felt like I just got wound up, like I was a toy. You just wind it up, and then I just started walking, and that's how bartending was for me. And when I was in my 20s, it was great. You know what I mean? Like you're hanging out, there's drinking, you're partying, doing all this stuff, and you're like, I'm on top of the world. You start to get older, you start to mature in certain ways, and you're just like, what's going on? And everybody calls it the golden handcuffs in Vegas, because you make like a low six-figure income. It's not bad, these days it's, low six figures is not what it used to be. But back in the day, you made a good living. And so why would you rock the boat?
Yeah.
And so it's just like you say, you just get put on that track. And you're in this environment. You talked about the importance of environment, right? And you're around all of these people, and they're like you. They don't know. They're just getting off work. They're going to gamble at the machine. They're drinking. They're hanging out. They're partying. they don't know, but you're around them, so you become them.
Yeah.
And so it's like this never-ending loop, and everybody's just caught in like the matrix, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And then you mentioned something else right after, which was your brain telling you certain things, right? And so like your brain in a way gets molded by the shiny lights, the smells, the gambling, the alcohol. And that makes it harder then, right? Because now you have all these pathways in your brain that are used to maybe the quick wins or the risks or at least the connections. Connections are good for anybody. How did you start rewiring that for yourself?
That's a great freaking question, Elias. I had to go through a big fall, and I think that's a common story in people's lives, right? Where I just lost a bunch of things in my life. Big relationship. I had serious medical issues that like laid me up for a year, and I just started being like, well, I'm screwed. My life is over, you know? And so when I hit the bottom, when I was coming back up, I was like, I realized with some help from other people that I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing this to myself. Like, you know, maybe I didn't do the physical stuff to myself, maybe I did, but I was doing the suffering part to myself. That's what I realized. I was like, this is crazy. People were telling me, but it took me a while to learn it. But my mind was just staying in that loop. It was telling myself all the things that, you know, people say when they're down. Why me? Why did this happen? I was a good person. I don't deserve this. I'll never be happy again. I'm not this. I'm not that. And that's all my mind did to me all day. And so I couldn't take it, and I saw no way out.
Yeah.
So I numbed myself, like with all of the things that people numb themselves off. I was high every day on weed. I was drinking all the time. I was gambling all the time. I was sitting in front of the TV, just binging show, like dark in my room. I mean, it was something like 4 or 5 years I just spent in the dark, essentially.
Oh, man.
And then when I realized that I was doing it to myself, I was like, so if I'm making myself unhappy, how do I make myself happy? And that just became the only thing I cared about.
That's great.
I didn't care about money. I didn't care about anything. How do I make myself happy? And that was the journey I went on. And that's kind of really, at its core, what I want to help other people be able to start to do.
In your life journey, was this moment, did it happen before you went back to college, after?
Same time.
Same time?
It took me a week. I remember, like, I talked to a therapist for 3 months.
Yeah.
And he's a super cool dude. He has since quit therapy. But he told me in the last session, I remember, because I don't say I fired him, but I kind of fired him after the last session. He just said, man, you can either spend 100% of your effort and solve what you perceive to be your problem, or you can just accept it fully. And I don't know, for whatever reason, at that moment in my life, it's like, and it sounds obvious to me now.
Right.
Yeah, like what else would you do?
Yeah.
But at that time, I was not doing either. I was not trying to solve my problem, and I was not accepting it. I was just in the middle, like, this sucks.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when he said that, I was like, cool. And we got off the phone, I texted him, I was like, hey, we're good. I'm good for, I don't think I need any more sessions. And, I don't know if he thought I fired him, but I called him a couple weeks later to make sure he was like, and he knew that he had helped me greatly. But I just knew. And so, like, I called UNLV up, like, the next day, and I was like, hey, I want to go back to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, cool. Your credits are still going to, transfer from, like, many years ago.
Yeah.
And I just went back, and so it was, like, at the same time. And then I just started reading books. I got really into all kinds of psychology. Buddhist psychology really resonated with me.
Say more about that, because you know what? I don't think I've dug deep into the Eastern mindsets there. So can you share a little bit about that?
They really resonate with me, honestly, and I share them sometimes because people ask, what do you think about this? But I like to push stuff on people, but it just makes a lot of sense to me. When I was faced with Buddhism and I started reading about it, they didn't tell me the answer. They were just asking me questions, like one of the big ones in Buddhism was like, who are you? I remember I had a Buddhist mentor that I had met. Interesting the way synchronicity in life, God, universe just puts you back together with people. He's about 11 years older than me, a Russian guy. And he said, who are you? And I was like, Shaun. And he's like, there's some words people gave you, it sounds. Who are you? And I was like, I used to be a bartender. He's like, no, who are you? And I was like, I don't understand. He's like, yeah, think about the question though. And so he started probing questions like this. Like, who are you? And he's like, are you your finger?
Where'd you meet this guy? Or who?
I met him working at Mon Ami Gabi when I was young. It was the first place I bartended at when I was 24.
Somebody did that to me one time. who are you? Who
Yeah.
are you? Who are you? You know, and I felt so bullied.
Yeah, get off me.
But, yeah, back to you.
No, but the Buddhism just resonated with me because I was one of these people that grew up and said I was looking to pick the holes apart in everybody's argument, including Christianity. I was just like, this is why you're wrong. This is why it's not going to work. You know, it took me my whole life to realize that, man, that view is so limiting. Like you cap yourself off from all the good stuff in life. Like there's wisdom and growth in everything. But that's what you got to look for, though. Like, why is this good? Why is what they're saying potentially insightful?
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that I started to get through Buddhism. Like, how do I find the wisdom? It's not, oh, now Buddhism is right. That's not it. It's just, it's my vehicle to understand myself and the world better, you know?
Yeah. You know, what are your thoughts on Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Do they talk? Is there anything in the Eastern psychology frame of thought that seems similar or speaks to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or to the concept of needing and having in general?
Right. I haven't been faced with them referencing Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I see value in Maslow's hierarchy, and I see some things that make a lot of sense, like, okay, all your physical needs have to be met before you can go up to the next level, you know. I have heard one American Buddhist, I can't remember specifically who it was, might have been Jack Kornfield, where he flips the pyramid upside down. He's like, honestly, the most important thing is your spiritual actualization. Like what Maslow puts at the top, he gets this little tiny peak, like that's actually should be your foundation. And if you have that, everything else you don't have to worry about. And I kind of agree with that. I think that we as humans tend to rely on this brain a little too much. We think it's like infallible. We think this is God. But I think something like this would be closer to God. You know, like God is God. This is like very small, like not even on the same spectrum. So learning to trust God and not listening to this thing, I think is much more powerful.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you said Jack Kornfield. I'll definitely check that out. I was one of the things that I saw that I thought was interesting was from the Western Maslow's hierarchy of needs of needing things, right? I need food, I need water, I need shelter and connection, all this stuff, and then it's like, okay, well, how much do you need is subjective and personal. But one thing I picked on from the little bit of the Eastern culture was this needing less, to be able to need less and then have and then you have everything that you need. So yeah, I would love to. I love to kind of have a more further conversation around psychology.
I can talk Buddhist thought all day long. I love it. But,
Good. We're gonna have John Stevenson here later at 1 o'clock, and we're gonna go deep on talking about all these topics again. But let's come back to entrepreneurship, because this is why a big reason why a lot of people are here. And so what was that moment that made you go from working on your personal mindset to becoming an entrepreneur? And did you have any entrepreneurial training, or how did you, learn what it took to get started?
This is my entrepreneurial training, brother. No, I had no entrepreneurial training. I was just a bartender and doing my thing, right? But one of the lessons I learned when I started to open my mind up, one of the first lessons was, man, if I focus on other people, it's like I was resonating deeply with everything you said, Eddie. When you focus on other people, like if you could fully 100% focus on somebody else, then you couldn't even feel bad. Yeah. Because feeling bad requires you to say, poor me, or some version of that, and I don't mean to downplay, any sort of mental health issues, but like in my experience, that's how it's worked. And when I'm surrounded by people, that's what causes the downfall, right? So I was like, well, how do I contribute to others? Like, this is like selfishly, like this is what's going to help me if I just help other people and focus on them, like what makes them happy, what's good about them. And that was it. I didn't know I was going to become an entrepreneur. Even when I had that thought, I was just like, okay, how do we thought? At first I was like, let's go into therapy. I just need to help somebody. That's all I knew for myself. To save myself, I needed to help somebody. That's all I knew.
And so when did you ever pursue that path of becoming a therapist, or take that a little further? When did you pivot and say, you know what, I can do this kind of independently from that? I
was on the track. When I graduated and got my bachelor's in psychology, the plan was I actually enrolled or applied to the clinical mental health counseling program at UNLV.
Yeah.
And then that was during the pandemic, I remember. And so we went on and we did the interview and everything, and I didn't get selected. And so I was a little crushed. I was like, oh no, I didn't get into school. Like, how is it possible? Like this, you know? And I was crushed for about a day. And then I was like, I guess everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. So how do I turn this into something good? Like, what do I learn from this? You know, do I reapply? That's an option. Do I pivot? And so I just looked it up and I was like, all right, what is coaching? What is this? You know what I mean? Like, I kind of don't like the word because people throw it around all the time.
Right.
But I was like, you know, I don't care. Like, how do I help somebody? Like, that's all I cared about.
Yeah.
And so I pivoted into the coaching. I got a certification in that. Took about a year. And then, you know, it's not out of the question that I go back and get some formal learning, you know, a master's or a PhD. But I'll only do so, in my mind, if it's a tool that I can use to help somebody else. I won't do it so that I can put some letters after my name, you know, which a part of me wants to do.
Yeah.
A part of me wants to be like, yeah, I'm somebody, you know, like, but I try to like, okay, get out of here.
Yeah, because, you know, who are you? Is it the words and the letters that make up your name?
Exactly.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it for about 3.5 years now.
That's
like,
great.
Formally doing it since I put up my website and everything, yeah.
Nice. And so looking at 2025, what are some of those wins that you can celebrate with us?
You know, the biggest wins was that I started a men's group in 2024, and it was just like a couple of guys I met, Breeze, and we were like, yo, let's start a men's group because I think dudes are just trying to go at it alone, and I think this could give them some sort of like an outlet for connection to let the shield down, the mask down a little bit. And then I wasn't even aware that we would actually all start growing together the way we have. And so in 2025, I was like, what if I lean into this a little more? And then I was like, hey, let's open another men's group. And we did that. We filled up the first one, and it's going strong. And then we filled up a second one like really quickly. And I was like, whoa, like immediately people are like, guys are resonating with this. They're like, okay. And I have guys from age of 30 to 57, I think, is our oldest member. And everybody gets value in their own way, in their own pace. And that's by far my biggest win. I'm most proud of that. Like,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like you are kind of in this space working on the loneliness epidemic. Have you heard that phrase been thrown around?
Yeah.
Yep. So it sounds like you might still be scratching the surface of what's possible here.
Yeah, I think so. What I found in these men's groups is that there's so many facets of a man, all people, but men specifically for what I'm working with, that are neglected, you know. The loneliness, they do feel isolated. Like men feel isolated. They can't share things. They have to be the man, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not like puffing your chest up, but kind of. You're raised to be the man. Like, you can't tell your wife that you're scared you won't be able to make a sale this month. Like, that'll freak her out. So you got to hold it in.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of outlets like that men don't get. And then they act out in different ways, you know. You know, we won't go into it, but it's obvious, right? If you repress things, something is there living, and it's going to affect everything in your life.
Yeah.
And so this is an outlet and a container to really give them like almost like depressurizing, like a depressurization valve. Just let some pressure off. Be you. Whatever you say is okay. We're not here to tell you you're doing it wrong, and we're not here to judge you. We're here to just, like, it sounds corny, but to love you, man. Like, you're a human. I love you. Like, you know, I just met you, and I love you, like 100%.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Yeah, the work you're doing is super important. You know, the whole world seems like a pressure, you know, it's like a lot of pressure going on. So it's good to have folks like you who can dial it down. What about lessons? You know, specifically the types of things that felt like losses at the surface but became lessons that happened this year.
Right. It kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about how much do you need. You know, that's one of my big lessons as well. There were so many. The acceptance part was that, you know, that led into, now it's kind of evolved in my mind, and it's to try to accept reality. And even more than that, like, there's some intelligence. Like, I'm not a Christian. I use the word God because there's something out there that is much greater than me. So whatever you want to call it, like the universe, consciousness, intelligence, like, it's something that I can't fathom. And so for me to think that it has to be my way, like, this is the plan I had in my little brain, and if it doesn't work out like that, then I'm upset. Yeah. Like, to release that and to just, I guess it would translate to having faith. Just having faith that everything is okay. And the more faith you have, the more faith people have, like, I mean, the more your life just works out, and you don't have to. But it's so hard to take that leap. Like people like that don't have faith. If they hear me right now, they're like, "All right, easy for you to say, buddy."
Right.
You know.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love that. I really resonate with a lot of what you're saying, with what Eddie was saying. You know, it's even reflective in the work that we're doing. You know, just can I share a quick side? It even has to do with this live streaming stuff, and I was telling Breeze about this too because you know, 2 years ago, Dave Berlin and Megan Buckley and we collaborated on a live stream series where we did 40 interviews on these like webcams and iPhones, right? No professional equipment, but it got a lot of attention. And it got a lot of the right people to start talking to us, which was incredible. So we wanted to do that again. And we were doing some streams in here in this incubator, again, with the phones and stuff. We did over 200. And then we got this grant to upgrade all of our equipment. So I was like super excited about this. Telling David, everybody, we are going to do 100+ interviews before Global Entrepreneurship Week. Just telling Breeze, get ready. The equipment got here probably a week before Global Entrepreneurship Week, wow. and then that didn't happen. And so Eddie said something about, you know, just having faith in the goal and then being okay to move the timing. And so I was like, okay, Breeze, it's not happening the week before, it's happening the week of Global Entrepreneurship Week. We're going to do 100 interviews during Global Entrepreneurship Week, but still didn't know how to use the equipment. So that didn't happen, and then the week after, I was like, guess what, guys? It's a recap week. We're going to be recapping entrepreneurship. We're going to do 100 interviews this weekend. I think this is like the 15th interview. That's awesome. But I just, you know, it's like, okay, we're going to still do 100 interviews. We're still going to recap Global Entrepreneurship Week this year, but just having that mix of being okay, having faith is going to work out, not putting too much pressure on it, you know, probably. A less mature version of myself would have freaked out over each of those pieces, and then maybe just gave up by now.
A great story, Elias, and it's just so perfect, honestly, for everything we're talking about. That's exactly how it works. And developing faith is not just like not in my experience at least, it's not an on or off switch. No, it's a practice. Like there's a reason people go to church. There's a reason people pray every day because this is like you're developing the faith muscle. Like that's a huge muscle that just gets, I don't know, ignored. Yeah. But the more faith you have, the more the situation like you're describing, you can make it through and be like, I see what you're doing. I got you. Thank you. Thank you for the learning.
So 2026, what are you excited about?
I'm really excited about leaning more into these men's groups. I am going to be going to Thailand for probably 6 months, and I'm going to run it out. But learning, honestly, I'm excited about the learning and the growth and working on my own faith because I'm a human. You know, it's easy. I feel like, you know, when people are talking, we're here and the cameras are going, like I'm going to tell you about all the things I learned, like I got it figured out. But man, I go in those cycles still and I have to recognize them. So I'm eager to learn more about myself, about how I can help, what to do, and just where life is going to move me, you know.
That's incredible. Thank you, Shaun. I know we've got an incredible series of workshops coming up, but how can folks get in touch with you?
You can go to my Instagram. My Instagram is Shaun Plummer Coaching. That's probably the fastest way if you wanted to go old school. I'm a little older, so I use Facebook a lot. You could go to Shaun Plummer on Facebook, or you can check out my website at www.shaunplummer.com. Thank you, Breeze. That's ShaunPlummer.com.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Shaun, thank you so much for the discussion. Hope to have you come back here again soon.
Thank you, Elias. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, coming up next, we've got Breeze. He's going to be teaching a bunch of cool